Happy Friday, everybody. It's a balmy 110 in Phoenix today.
A little different than your globe-trotting recent experience.
I mean, the mid-70s of the big island of Hawaii. I mean, I'm back. It is the Stanley Cup Final is still going on. There's lots of hockey to talk about, but we're not going to do that just yet, Craig, because that's not what we do on PHNX Hockey.
We don't talk hockey.
We don't talk hockey. We talk land development.
We talk government. We talk city council.
Auctions and
that's how we
zoning.
roll.
That's this show. So thanks so much all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Craig. We have Eric behind the Mac today. Petey will be joining from Edmonton a little later in the show to talk about Game 6 tonight. He is still on the road, poor guy. So we'll check in.
I hope he's getting miles.
Oh yeah.
I hope he's getting frequent flying miles because this is insane. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
The road trip and the time in between games.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about hockey toward the end of the show. But first things first, Craig, in less than a week, I can't believe it's finally here. The land auction next Thursday, June 27th. I mean, that's the date, at least the first major date that we're aware of.
Thing. Like how many of these deadlines, how many of these moments of truth have we had with
too many?
Alex Meruelo and okay, now we've got another one. Of course, this one comes without a team in Arizona anymore. But the land auction will be held next Thursday at 11 a.m. downtown Phoenix. I'll be there.
Open to the public.
It is open to the public. I did not, I was not able to verify the Arizona State Land Department's beverage options and concession options ahead of this. I doubt they'll be live streaming it, but if they wanted to, they probably get really good ratings on this one. But we can talk about a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people watching and listening are planning to attend. I'm wearing my deactivated fan shirt, which I just got in the mail. A lot of people thinking about wearing those ones. So definitely do that. We want to see a full showing either in support or against Alex Meruelo. I guess that's up to you. And we'll talk about all the potential things that could unfold next Thursday, Craig. So let's start with just the basic facts, the simple things that we know. What does Alex Meruelo need to do on the day of the auction, and what could potentially other bidders do? And when will we know about them for sure?
Well, I did reach out, and just so you know, I have a story, a Q&A up on gophnx.com right now, trying to answer all the questions that I posed in our Discord channel and then other things that you might wonder about. I spoke to a spokesperson for the Arizona State Land Department, again, because that's why I got into this business, to talk to government officials. I spoke to Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly and did some reporting of my own to answer as much of that information as I could. $68.5 million, we know, is the minimum bid. You have to put down a deposit. There's been a lot of misreporting on this, actually, but because we've been given. Listen, I had a little bit of misinformation out there myself, saying that it has to be a well-hatched plan in order for you to get in the door. That's not necessarily true. Now, there is a promise of a lot of infrastructure improvements that you have to make shortly after purchasing the land. So I guess you could interpret it that way. But the minimum bid is $68.5 million. This was set after they did an appraisal of the land. You have to put down a deposit of actually north of 15 million. There have been reports of 14. That's actually higher than 15 million, and it depends. Like any other bidder that comes in has to put in a
15,920,200.
And Alex Meruelo?
15,767,200.
And why the difference?
The approximate amount the applicant spent on due diligence.
Yeah, I'm guessing Alex Meruelo spent a lot more than that to prep this, but I'm not sure we'll ever know that figure. But at any rate, this is a live auction with an auction. It's like a livestock auction. It's going to be crazy. It's actually, I think if there are other bidders, if other bidders show up, and we don't know right now, there have been reports. Richard Rodier, of course, who is very well connected, says there are going to be 4 bidders at this, including Alex Meruelo. recent news reports and what the Arizona State Land Department told me are right now there's only one registered bidder, but they don't have to register until the day of. So just because there's nobody now doesn't mean there won't be a day of. That said, I also have been floating for a very long time, Leah, that the vast majority of these land auctions only have one bidder. So that's a distinct possibility still. But it's going to be wild to be in this place with actual Coyotes fans, with media, and watch an auctioneer, like just going back and forth, people raising their paddles, upping the bid if, again, there are multiple bidders. I mean, I'm actually almost looking forward to covering this because it's something new and bizarre, and it's going to be lively if there are multiple bidders again.
It's a new government-esque thing for you to cover as a sports journalist.
Yeah, I keep deepening my
Exactly.
Government knowledge. So
exactly. A couple other things that the winning bidder has 30 days to pay the amount in full. And you also asked about if there's a time limit to back out or a monetary penalty. And based on what you wrote, it sounds like there isn't a penalty. He could decide to not show up on the day. And if there's no other bidders, he'll just get refunded the due diligence money.
They won't if they back out day
of.
Yeah, so they won't get the due diligence money back.
Okay.
But that's, I mean, it's a very minor amount. Listen,
would not be reimbursed. I
can't speak fully to everything that I have heard, and based on my reporting, Alex Meruelo is going to be here. This is a big deal to them. I've been saying this all along. I know a lot of people think, no, he's not going to show up. He's going to take his money and run. But again, everyone that I've talked to says he's showing up. This is personal to him. He does not want to lose. And in spite of all the other hurdles that will come after that, and we can talk about that as well, I really think he's going to be here and really try to win this auction. I don't know what his ceiling is. Nobody's suggesting, okay, he won't go above this amount, but I do get the sense that Alex Meruelo will be there for the auction.
Yep. So we will only find out. It sounds like it's all going to be kind of on the day of when we find out if there's other people, if he's going to win it. Who knows if it'll be 5 minutes long or an hour? Like, who knows? Right. You know, it's going to be really interesting. I, for one, am very interested. A lot of people asking about whether or not it will be live streamed. We'll get back to people on that. Not 100% sure, but if we have more information, we'll let everybody know on Twitter or in our Discord as well. Because I'm sure, like you mentioned, Craig, that would do pretty good numbers.
I don't know if the land department cares about ratings, but if they do, this might be your opportunity.
Yeah, sell some ads on that video.
There you go. Just saying. Help the state out.
We need Craig in there with a phone.
Yeah,
and we'll do it live on PHNX.
I mean, listen. Don't never say never on that. But let's just say, I guess, so there's a lot of questions too. What happens if Alex Meruelo does not win this auction? Is that the end of his 5-year window? And it's a little bit unclear.
It's fuzzy. Like I mean, Alex Meruelo could come to the league and say, okay, that's it. I'm done. I relinquish my 5-year window, my exclusive rights. And at that point, sure. But he has this 5-year window, and we can talk about benchmarks within that, because I did speak to Bill Daly, and really it comes down to that 3 to 3.5 year range where you got to have land ready to go by then, because they have to reactivate the franchise 1.5 years before that 5-year window. So it's really a 3.5 year window. Not only do they have to reactivate it, then they have to have the arena 50% built. Do I believe the NHL will pull the plug if the arena is 40% built? No, I don't. But those are the stipulations within the agreement. And he's also got to put down a significant deposit on the purchase price of the franchise. So it's really more like the 3-year window. Now, if he loses this land auction, does he walk away, or does he pivot to a couple of those other sites that we know he has letters of intent out on, one in Mesa and at least one other? I've been told the problem with those is they weren't zoned for an arena, but we don't even know that this site is now zoned for an arena. That's one of the many hurdles that he has to cross after the land auction if he wins it. Yeah.
But oh my.
Yeah. I know it's not what we should be talking about on a hockey show. But
I mean, this is what we're used to talking about, at least, Craig. Others don't. I thought it was really interesting. Bill Daly in the story said he owns the rights exclusively until he doesn't. Right. Okay. What does that mean?
Oh, listen, Bill Daly's an attorney.
Yeah.
There are lots of attorneys involved in this deal, in this transaction. So there's probably certain things that they're not going to speak about publicly. They're probably not going to provide all those details. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen if he loses the auction. If he wins it, we know what the process will be from that point forward. He's going to try and get it zoned for an arena because the city of Phoenix has told me that they're not certain that it was, as we said before, zoned for the Legacy Sports Project, right? But that was youth hockey rinks. And what a spokesperson for the city said is, look, that's entirely different than a 16, 17,000 seat arena. We're talking about an entirely different thing. It might involve a public process that could go before the council and the mayor. It might even involve, we should have foreboding music.
We
when
should
I
have
say
like
this
a trigger
word,
warning.
Yeah, for the word referendum. It might involve a referendum. And listen, we all know what happens if this goes to referendum. That might be the same thing that plays out in those other sites because they have to be rezoned. So it's difficult. Like, I know a lot of people are saying this is the fastest path. You can't say that definitively. You honestly can't. Like, I can see a scenario where if he backs out after this and another group comes in, could they speed up the process? Possibly. But again, like, we've told you that we know that there are groups that are interested in owning an expansion franchise in Arizona. I've spoken to these groups. That said, and the skepticism is warranted by some critics out there that are in our Discord channel or on Twitter. You don't know how real that interest is and how committed that interest is until we get down to brass tacks. When it comes time to put up the money and get going, and can they get tax breaks? Because let's face it, just about everybody needs tax breaks at this point to build an arena. It's, I know people say, well, rich billionaires, they need to build their own arenas. That might be true in football. I don't think it's true in hockey, where you have people who have enough money in this business, maybe a couple of them, where they're going to just go fund the arena on their own. It's not that simple. It really isn't that simple. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I think the hard part about next Thursday is for example, the May 16th date last summer. Mm-hmm. That was a very definitive date because if they won the election, it would have gone forward, and that's great. If not, we obviously saw the consequences of the no vote. But this is the kind of date where, okay, if it's no, we don't know what's going to happen for sure, and if he wins, we don't know what's going to happen for sure. Right. So that's the most frustrating part of all of this. You almost just wish there was a magic thing that said, okay, if he wins the auction, then it's a sure thing. Everything is going to go really smoothly and the team will be back here in 5 years exactly. But you can't say that for sure. And if he doesn't win the auction, you also can't say for sure that his time is up. Or you don't know what he's going to go to next. But I guess the next date, if we want to focus on dates, though, if Alex Meruelo really keeps trying, if he doesn't win this auction but he keeps trying, is that December 31st 2027 date. Yep. Because he has to have something underway, he has to have a deposit by then, and if he doesn't, then he relinquishes the right. So it's not like 5 years from April 18th it expires. There has to be some movement, which I think is a little bit more helpful and better to hear 3 years as opposed to 5, as far as having definitive answers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, one of those definitive answers might be more questions. This is the life of being a Coyotes fan.
On that note, I am begging the local news stations and AZ Central, please do that reporting. I don't want to do that
Craig's
reporting.
Supposed to
if
be a
they win the land auction,
now.
you do the reporting on zoning and all the other issues with government. I don't want. I don't want to learn.
I love how
my knowledge tank has filled up. I can't take
in
anymore.
In the week since Craig's been announced as our PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, he's hosted the show many times, and we've talked about local government and zoning. So Craig, thriving as always. A couple other notes and rumors from this week specifically. More rumors about Matt Ishbia, whose name seems to come up again and again in relation with the Coyotes. There was a tweet out there that inferred that Matt Ishbia would be one of the bidders. Our own Gerald Bourget reached out directly to the Ishbias, and they said that wasn't true. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I'm not even sure who Gerald's source was, to be honest, but Gerald is well connected there. So he did shoot that down. And honestly, when I looked at the logic of that, we're going to build an arena for Matt Ishbia in Northeast Phoenix that might house the G League. No, the G League team's never going to play an arena that big. It doesn't make sense because they're not going to draw that well, and they're happy with their situation at Mullet. And here's the other thing that I would say, just based on my understanding, and this is obviously not definitive, I don't think the Suns are ever leaving downtown. I don't think the city of Phoenix is ever going to let that happen. So the idea that Matt Ishbia would suddenly become involved bidding on this land and trying to get an arena built up there. First of all, he's got a lease that runs through 2037 at Footprint Center. There are a lot of complications with that idea. I looked at the tweet and thought there's no chance that's real. So thank you, Gerald, for reaching out to whoever you did at the Suns to clarify that.
Yep. A couple other rumors about Mayo as well.
Yeah, this keeps coming up. I spoke to Mayo. I had it in a previous story, and then I've had multiple people reach out and say, well, I think Mayo might be involved now. I've heard Mayo's involved. So I reached out to Mayo directly, and Mayo told me once again, no, nothing has changed. Mayo has a lot of land that it can develop on the south side of the freeway. They were pretty firm in telling me nothing's changed. We're not interested in purchasing this land.
Well, there you have it. It feels like we got a rumor bust every week on this show.
Yeah.
Craig, one other note that you tweeted actually just before we went live on the show having to do with the sale of the Coyotes to the league is Andy Barroway's stake in ownership.
Yeah, Andy Barroway got paid, I guess. So, because he's no longer a part of the deactivated Coyotes franchise. Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley confirmed that for me today. And they've been trying to buy out Andy Barroway for a while. I know that was in the works. I think, I even talked to Coyotes officials about that, but it never happened. Now with the sale, Andy Barroway is no longer with the franchise. So you can close that chapter of ownership. We'll see about this one.
Nick asks in the chat, what would a Salt River Indian tribe ownership look like for the Coyotes? This is something you've looked into.
It's really hard to gauge that. We've told you before, I've reported that there is a site on tribal lands that is ready to go. It's completely zoned for an arena. It has greater height restrictions. It allows for a lot of things that they would want to do now. Sportsbook, of course, is one of the complications there with the gaming pack, but it's ready to go. You can literally put shovels in the ground and build an arena in 2 years. But there's never been, and I know there's interest from at least somebody representing the tribe right now to build an arena, but there's never been great interest either on the part of the Morelos to work with the tribe. Probably, part of that is probably because of the sports book, and another because you can't build residential on tribal lands, but also by the league. There's never been any substantive talks with this group about going forward. Maybe part of that is because that wasn't an interest of the actual ownership groups here. But I've also had sources tell me that the league really isn't interested in getting in bed with the tribe, which really surprised me. The source was very well connected, would not tell me why, but that was surprising to hear, because what an incredible story that would be to have tribal ownership of a professional sports team.
Especially with how easy it would be to get things built.
Oh my God, quickly. The location and let's talk about inclusivity. A buzzword in the NHL, and in spite of all their marketing, they don't do a very good job of it. How would that alter the picture? But I guess right now it's just not on the table.
Very interesting. Been there, done that asks, what's the feeling in AZ? Well, we know who wins the auction today. We'll know next Thursday. Been there, but what is the feeling in Arizona? I feel like there's a lot of skepticism, mostly because we've been here before, and I think the May vote kind of jaded a lot of people. There's just not a lot of hope.
It's the whole track record, right? Listen, there were issues in Glendale that predated the Morelos, so I'm not going to put all of that on them, but they didn't handle those negotiations very well, so they end up leaving Glendale, not kicked out because they didn't pay their bills. I can't believe I have to say that again, but I have to keep reiterating that they were not kicked out of Glendale because they didn't pay their bills. They got kicked out because Glendale wanted them to sign a long-term lease of what city manager Kevin Phelps told me was at least 12 years. The Coyotes would not do that, so Glendale decided to move forward without them, ended their year-to-year lease, and the Coyotes had to find another home. But then you end up at an arena, you're hoping for the Tempe vote. That failed. You ended up losing the team, and oh, by the way, you tried to move the Roadrunners up north without actually talking to the stakeholders first, and that also failed epically. You're going to play 6 games at Mullet Arena instead of a chunk of the games, or what they had hoped, all of them. Yeah. So a lot of missteps along the way, and we could talk about minor ones too, like when you're trying to get the support of the city of Phoenix, maybe you shouldn't tag the mayor of Phoenix in those tweets. It's probably not a good idea to put her on blast. So anyway.
Yeah, so not a lot of optimism, I would say. I think there's a couple camps of people. There are ones who are fully in the camp, like, I want Meruelo to win the auction. This is the fastest way. I want a team back.
You put up a poll.
We did, yeah. Well, actually, I'll go look at the results of the poll. There's people who are just want him completely out of the way, either to lose or not show up at all. At this point, it doesn't seem like he's not going to show up. It seems like he's very much going to show up. But there's people who want him to lose and just want him to. Maybe at that point he would then walk away. We're not sure. Right now, the leading result of the poll with 30 minutes left. So if you want to go vote at PHNX_hockey on Twitter, Meruelo loses is the outcome people want to see with 36% of the vote.
Okay, what are the others?
Meruelo wins being 31.2% of the vote and doesn't show 29.2%.
Doesn't show, wow.
So interesting numbers. It seems like there's everything segmented into thirds there. Let us know in the chat what you want to see happen next Thursday. And as a reminder, this show will be live after the auction. So we will be going live to discuss the results of the auction, whichever way it goes. So we hope you tune in and set a reminder because we don't have an exact time yet. Again, we don't know how long the auction's going to take, but set your YouTube notifications on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel so you don't miss when we do go live that day. And of course, you can follow our Twitter account at PHNX_hockey for all of the coverage. Craig, was there any part of this that we didn't go over that just you want people to know ahead of next Thursday? Doors open at 10:30 if you plan on going.
There you go. That's the other piece. And the land department does sense that this is going to be a popular auction, so you might want to get there a little early. One favor that I would ask is, don't take up all the seats. Let the media actually sit down because we got to cover this. If you want to stand in the back and heckle up until the time the auction starts, you can do that. Sure. You want to heckle me, that's fine. Just let me have a seat. Let me cover this thing. I need to actually see what's happening. So thanks.
Yeah. AZ Sports Guy said, Alex had multiple chances to fix this. I don't think he can fix this. Nicholas says, I want him to lose. The fans deserve a better run franchise. And that starts with the right owner. And Been There, Done That says, as a Utah guy, I'm rooting for the fans of Arizona. I want them to have a team more than anything. So thank you for that. Should be interesting. It feels like every week on the show we talk, like we discuss something and we're like, yeah, we don't really have the answers, but we'll do our best. For more, of course, go read Craig's article, go phnx.com. Very detailed answers there, and he asks a lot of questions I know a lot of people had. So hopefully your question gets answered, and if not, you can let us know and we can try and get them answered before next Thursday.
Yeah, there's a lot of aftermath questions too, right? Well, so there'll probably be time for another story.
Exactly. I'm sure there will be. And hopefully we'll have some more answers next Thursday as well. So that'll be an interesting show. But it's a busy week for us next week, Craig, because after that's Thursday. And then Friday is the NHL draft. And you and I are actually going to the draft. One last hurrah. I know we don't have a team to cover, but there's still a lot of interesting storylines there. And of course, a lot of hockey personalities. So it'd be great to talk to them about their thoughts in Arizona, especially with whatever happens the day before. We can get people's reaction on that as well while we're there. But we will be making the drive to Vegas with a few stops.
I'm not driving.
No. I'm driving, actually, with a few stops at Circle K along the way.
Are we going to push it with the gas gauge?
Well, the gas game, not sure, but we have to stop for the snacks.
We will definitely stop.
What is your go-to road trip snack from Circle K?
I can't believe you have to ask me
the
this
donuts.
question. I feel like we don't know each other.
It's the donuts.
Yeah, just leave it.
But what if I don't allow you to eat donuts in my car?
Because of the powder?
Yeah.
I mean, I could support that, actually. You saw me cleaning the kitchen earlier.
That's true.
I kind of get that.
You've got to house the whole sleeve from the walk from Circle K.
Have some sort of, I don't know, big tray to catch the powder.
Like a bib.
Yeah, well, a bib won't do it for your seats.
Yes.
No, like the silicone bibs that they have that have like that curve up a little bit. Yeah,
you
get one of those.
Something to wipe it off my fingers too.
We'll put some wet wipes in the back seat for you.
Just do it on the back of the seat.
Okay. Well, we'll be stopping at Circle K and we'll document
Shane's hair.
Oh, yeah, perfect. We'll document our snack stop at Circle K on the way to Las Vegas. And I'm part of the inner circle, so we can save 3 cents per gallon along the way. Because I already did my first 5 fill-ups that saved me 25 cents. Plus, you can enjoy your member-exclusive beverage deal. You can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents now through September 3rd at any Arizona location, which will be useful for us because that is a hot drive.
Mm-hmm.
The AC will be on blast and we'll have our Polar Pops.
Which way are we going? Do we know yet? Do we know the route?
We don't. We'll have to discuss. You can join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And Craig, I hope you make a stop at Desert Financial Credit Union before, because snacks are on you.
Yeah, snacks are on me, so I will.
Since I'm driving.
I'll go to the vault. You can see the vault.
I would love to see the vault. Yeah. There's actually a Desert Financial right by my house, so we can stop there on the way.
My personalized vault is elsewhere. Leah,
oh, it's in Gilbert, I'm sure.
The one that glows from the gold.
If you want to be like Craig and bank at Desert Financial Credit Union, you absolutely should do that, because Desert Financial has been around for more than 84 years, and they have it all, whether you're looking for a checking and savings account, mortgages, loans, credit card, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're a Cardinals or ASU fan, you can get a personalized debit card, which is awesome. And when you open a free checking account online, of course, you get $200 in bonuses. Who doesn't want a bonus? $200. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. All right. We're moving on from land zoning and auctions, and we're going to talk about nicknames. And of course, this comes up because the voting just closed for the final 6 Utah names, and just to...
Have they announced?
They haven't announced, but the voting closed yesterday. That was the last day to vote. And the 6 finalists were Utah Blizzard, Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, Utah Outlaws, Venom, and Yeti. Majority of this list, Craig, singular nicknames.
Yeah. First off, what do you think of this idea for a show, Leah? I'm just curious,
It kind of sounds like the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life. That's just me personally, though.
Okay. Just for context, because we don't want to keep you in the dark here, I did pitch this for a certain show. I don't even know if I want to give it props now or even attention, because my idea was shot down by Eric Ruby. I pitched this for Eric's show, which is doing quite well, by the way. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
No, I'd rather this just be bashing me. Okay. I'd rather we just focus on me to bash.
Yeah. He shot it down, so I inserted it into a segment of today's show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about singular nicknames and whether they're good or bad or somewhere in between. I'm a guy who believes in nuance.
Listen, and to be fair, I did say, hey, Craig, I'd love to have you on my show, and I'd love to talk about this specific topic. And it was met with, actually, I don't really want to talk about that. So, I think we're even.
Which particular topic?
Oh, that was just bashing the jerseys of the new Utah franchise.
What did you say about singular nicknames, though, when I pitched the idea? What was your phrase?
I just didn't know if it was enough to fill a whole show.
We can brand
I think a segment of the show.
I don't know if we can brand
so,
that
Craig,
show,
if I asked you, hey, this is a land auction show, but let's do the thumbnail and the headline about singular nicknames. Do you think that people would click on that the same?
I think there's a way of selling this. No, I mean, land
I'm
auction
all ears. I told you I was all ears.
Is a big deal.
Told you I was
all ears. You can't put that as the undercard. Okay? But if you do this and sell it the right way, which, we'll find out if we did on this particular show, because Leah agreed. Well, Leah didn't really agree. I did the work while she was in Hawaii. But we do have a number of guest videos for people speaking on it, which we'll show you shortly. But we're going to talk about those singular nicknames. Yeah. You can read them off, okay? Because, I can't read. I can't see. You did. Okay.
I already did.
The Utah Hockey Club.
So distracted by your argument with Eric.
The Outlaws, which... It would be okay if it weren't Utah.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Outlaws when you think Utah? Maybe you think Arizona or New Mexico
or Nevada.
Yeah. But in Utah, I don't think Outlaws. I think highly law-abiding citizens, actually, when I think
mostly
of Utah.
in-laws.
Okay.
The Utah law-abiding citizens.
Yeah. But
okay. Okay. So, but that's the only plural one. All the rest are singular.
Well, I mean, I had an argument with some guy who's insisting that Yeti is plural in the common vernacular, whatever the hell that means. It's not plural in any dictionary. It's not plural in AP style. We're journalists here, so maybe you're speaking slang out there in your world, and that's okay, but I'm an actual journalist, so I have to go with singular and plural by rules, okay? We follow rules here, not whatever common tongue you're speaking out there. Okay, so Yeti is singular, and I don't like singular nicknames. Now, there's a lot of nuance here, and we're going to hear from Charlie O'Connor at PHLY. We're going to hear from AJ Haverly in DNVR, who had a really nuanced and really good take on it as well. DJ Bean from What Chaos, who had an utter trash take, and I told him so. And we'll hear from Jay Zawaski at CHGO as well. They're all going to weigh in on this topic. It's a lot of good stuff, actually. And we might even hear from somebody else a little later.
From PHNX. Because I feel like I'm not, like Craig, we know, adamantly against singular nicknames.
Here's my problem with singular nicknames. And AJ introduced some nuance that I had thought about, but he stated it well. The thing about the NHL in particular, so maybe they work better in the NHL, is it's team first, right? That's the culture we always see. We always hear this criticism of the league not marketing its individual stars, but that's part of the lure of the NHL as well, that it's not about me. It's not a me first league like, let's be frank, like the NBA or the NFL often can be. They don't focus as much on me. It's always about we. So I get that, but then when you put it into practice and say, I am Yeti, we are Yeti. What? It just doesn't work in language.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. We are Coyotes. That makes sense. We are Yeti. We are Mammoth. What? Does that mean you're big? I mean, that has dual meaning for me. I don't get it.
I am Walrus.
But even then they say, I am the Walrus.
Yeah, you're right.
Cuckoo.
I prefer plural names. I'm not a huge fan. I like Lightning a lot, but also Lightning is like something that I can imagine. And same with Avalanche. I can make the argument. Wild loses me a little because what is that?
It's maybe the worst nickname certainly in the NHL.
You think?
Yeah, Wild is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Like Lightning.
It's the Wild. Like, is it the outdoors
Lightning
that
at
we're
least
talking
is
about?
a thing, and you would never say lightnings. That's just not even a word.
What I like about some of those names that there's a way of pluralizing them.
Like Avs.
Yeah, we call them the Avs, or we call them the Bolts.
Yeah,
we call them the Bolts.
You're right.
What do you do with Mammoth? Do you just say Mammoth? Okay, well, why didn't you just say that in the first place?
Exactly.
Right?
So I'm definitely team plural. I can see if it's a really good name, fine. And that's a good point about the pluralized version. There's no nickname for Wilds that you can make plural, or even
Wilds.
Kraken.
The Kraken may be plural, actually. Kraken, I don't know what plural.
Can we call them the
Krakens?
Cracks?
I don't know. Huh?
The Cracks?
I mean, I was lobbying to call the arena the Crack House, but nobody picked up on that.
I love that.
So.
Well, let's get into some opinions of our friends across the ALLCITY network. And we'll start with our good friends. We'll start with AJ, since you brought him up, from DNVR, with a very interesting take. So here is the DNVR Avalanche's take on singular nicknames.
Singular nicknames, plural nicknames. Look, I'm a writer by trade. Singular nicknames drive me absolutely crazy. I never know what to do, what is correct when I'm trying to talk about them. But plural nicknames are boring. We're talking about team sports here. We are one. We are only one. It's all supposed to be about the name on the front. When you think of trying to win a championship as one unit, it should be singular names only.
I like the perspective, and also he covers the Avalanche, so he you know, maybe a little bit of a biased opinion, but I like his argument for singular.
I do too.
Yeah.
But like, I find when I write about the Avalanche, I call them the Avalanche on first reference because you're supposed to do that in journalism. And then after that, I call them the Avs.
Yeah.
We just go to Avs.
Yeah.
And with the Lightning, I go Bolts after the first reference because it works. I don't have a solution for those others, but I know we have some other perspectives from around the ALLCITY family. So
yeah. Well, let's go to our friends at CHGO Blackhawks, and here's what Jay's thoughts are.
Hey, what's up, PHNX? It's Jay Zawaski from the CHGO Blackhawks podcast here in Chicago, home of the six-time Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks, chiming in on the singular name thing in hockey. And while I liked it to beginning with Avalanche and Wild and so on, isn't it a little bit played out at this point? I don't know. It's now it seems like it's becoming the default for new teams. You got the Kraken, and now the former Coyotes are probably going to be the Mammoth or the Yeti. Let's be more creative here. It's kind of like the Winter Classic where, hey, we found something that's cool once. Now we're going to beat it into the ground for the rest of eternity. Let's get more creative. Let's be a little bit better. Come on. Yeti, Mammoth, we got to do better than that.
Jay's on the same page as you, and I'm on the same page because I do not really love the nicknames that are like remaining for Utah.
Yeah.
So, but Jay definitely leaning a little bit toward.
I think so, but I like the fact that he dropped in the home of the six-time Stanley Cup champion Chicago Black. I think that was for you, Espo. Actually, Espo's standing behind the
who
mic
has a
right now.
rivalry with the city of Chicago at this particular moment in time. If you watched PHNX Suns yesterday,
Don't make me start the Chicago thing again, all right? I got Chicago beef, and I ain't talking about the sandwich, all right?
Have you visited the wing at the Art Institute of Chicago Titles? Have you seen those?
No, because
artwork from them?
I only go to Chicago because of my wife and her family, and I don't partake in the things you try to pass off as culture. If I want culture, I'm going to New York, not Chicago.
Can I ask you a question? What was your wife wearing yesterday?
Oh, the 93 Bulls Eastern Conference Championship shirt that she wears when she's angry with me.
Wow.
So she watched the program.
Wow. Okay. Well,
right.
Espo will be joining us momentarily to get
I'm
his
not sure
take.
if Espo will, but somebody else will. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from our friends at PHLY next. Here's
Charlie O'Connor.
Charlie.
You know, when I first looked at this question, my initial instinct was they're bad, don't use them. And then the more I thought about it, Avalanche, great name. Lightning, pretty good name. Kraken, I could take it or leave it. And some of these Utah names they've thrown out there are terrible. But the real answer here is not that non-plural names without an S are bad. It's that just don't name your team something dumb. Give it a good name. Whether it has an S at the end or whether it doesn't, just pick good names. Don't pick crappy names. That's my take.
I love Charlie's
great.
take.
Thank you, Charlie.
It's great. Don't pick stupid names. I think that has to be my stance going forward. Just don't be dumb about it. I love it. So thank you, Charlie from PHLY. Oh, man. And last but not least, we have our friends from What Chaos with their opinion. I know Craig has some problems with DJ Bean's take. So
Is that his name? I thought it was Oil Man.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Let's take a listen.
Okay, I'm here to voice my support for singular nicknames. You know why? There just aren't enough other nicknames. Do you know how many plural nouns there are? 50. There are only 50 plural nouns in the world. I know this because teams repeat team names all the time. There's got to be a lack of options. So I say explore other avenues. Go to singular nicknames. I got no problem with it at all, as long as it's a good nickname. Don't make it like the walking or something. That's weird, but make it good.
You know, he has a point because, you look across the leagues, you got the Kings multiple times, you have the Cardinals multiple times. Like, be original, people.
Every time I listen to DJ, I'm educated. I learned something today that there are only 50 plural nouns. I didn't know that. Now I know the number. It's a good trivia answer.
All right. Well, that's the opinions of all the hockey beats throughout the ALLCITY network. But now we're going to go to we're
going to welcome in
our
Father Guido Sarducci for his take on singular nicknames.
And he is the certified jersey and name expert here at PHNX. So I'm going to get up and we'll let Espo come take a seat.
Now you two need to behave.
Hey, Mr. Morgan, how you doing? I forgot my robe.
Father, thank you for joining us today. You know, we have a particular topic. I think you've heard the topic. I want to ask you your opinion of singular nicknames. Yes, no. Is it black and white?
Well, right now here in Arizona, we have the Arizona Coyote because it's just Alex Meruelo Jr. sitting in his empire that isn't an empire anymore by himself in an empty office building. So we got the singular name here, the Coyote. Okay. Look, again, like you've heard a lot, it depends on what the name is. Like Yeti, unless they're coming out and they're actually like Yeti coolers and not the fictitious animal. Like if they came out and they were like, it's actually the first name sponsorship in all of sports. We're the Yeti coolers. We're the Utah Yeti coolers. I'm taking it. Like, or just the Utah Yeti, but it's by the Yeti sponsorship. I'm fine with that.
That would be original. It would.
It would because it would be outside the box.
Questionable choice, but go ahead.
The mammoth, like, what, you could only find one? Like we went through the state and we dug up all the fossils and there was only one mammoth that ever lived here. So we're the mammoth, right? Like the Kraken, I don't mind, right? Because it's released the Kraken. There's, it's a mythical, powerful thing. I'm okay with that. But, the Avalanche, it makes sense in some ways. Like multiple avalanches, like it's just kind of weird. Now, when you're writing, it's frustrating as all hell because I love our WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury, but what am I? It becomes complicated.
How do you feel about Wild? Minnesota Wild.
Well, the problem for me is when I think of Minnesota, I don't think of Wild. I think of somebody that looks like Petey, and nothing screams wild about Petey and that whole group. Like that to me, that doesn't scream wild, right? Minnesota isn't wild. I understand you're trying to talk about the nature portion of it, but even that, like,
are we? Because they have an animal, some kind of animal to represent. I don't know what. Minnesota's a mess.
Why did they not just sue Dallas for the North Star's name? Because that's the perfect name, and then
done.
Dallas could have been the cowboy hats or whatever. That the 10-gallon hats. Yeah, I don't know.
The cowboy
The
hat.
cattle. Yeah, the cattle. There's all sorts of things. The Debbies. They could have been the Dallas Debbies.
That has multiple connotations.
I know.
So yeah,
Yes, it does.
you probably do that. Okay, I got to ask you this last thing. So thank you once again, Dr. Potter. I called you doctor.
Doctor.
People
I've now
didn't
gotten the
know that you got your
doctor.
PhD. So
Now, well,
I wanted to put that out
podcasting,
there just to give you props. Is it as simple as just add an S to Yeti or Mammoth? Would those be good nicknames if they added an S?
Okay, so Mammoth, I don't know. I mean, no, the Utah Mammoths is just a weird.
They're slow moving,
The
but
Yetis
they can handle the
work.
cold and they're strong.
I mean, okay, if I have a mammoth in the goal, that makes sense.
There you
Because,
go.
but anywhere else on the ice, now look, the Yetis maybe, but I actually don't mind Utah Hockey Club, because when I think of Utah, it is kind of like Minnesota, but even more so bland. And Utah Hockey Club is bland. I don't mean that as an insult, but when you think Utah, you don't think, you think, hey, they never changed the name of the basketball team after they moved to New Orleans.
And that might be playing into this, right? The singular nicknames.
Well, I mean,
Let's be in sync with the Jazz, which is a horrible nickname for an NBA franchise in Utah.
the name it the Utah Mardi Gras. If you're gonna steal things from New Orleans, keep the theme going, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
Like
there you go.
The Utah beignet. Like if you're going,
Whippets.
I mean, because if I'm gonna do that, if I'm not gonna change Jazz, because Utah ain't a hotbed of jazz. I'm sorry to break it to everybody here.
Right.
Then why not name my other team or steal from any city? I mean, you don't have to just steal from the beautiful culture of New Orleans. Why not just name them Coyotes if you're gonna steal things, right? I mean, or Coyote. You can take Alex Meruelo Jr.'s.
Yeah,
name
and if you
there.
wanted to go with the singular, you could have just called them the Pack.
Wait, I've got
The
it.
Utah Pack.
I've got it.
What?
The Utah Morellos. Yeah.
I'm not sure how well that markets. Well, at any rate, Father Guido Sarducci, we really appreciate you. Greg Esposito, thank you for weighing in on this topic.
Hey, Mr. Morgan, I appreciate it.
All right, let's bring Leah back in before we move on to the next segment, because I think we have someone in the waiting room that's been waiting quite a while.
We do, and we're going to make him wait just a little bit longer before he can defend himself against Espo's slander against him. First things first, I'm wearing my deactivated fan shirt. I know a lot of people have been receiving them this week, receiving their Coyotes Forever shirts, as well as their Hockey Belongs in the Desert shirts a few weeks ago. If you want to buy any of those shirts or any of our new shirts at phnxlocker.com, including our new Valley collection, make sure you check it out. phnxlocker.com. Diehards get 20% off on merch all the time. New diehards get a free shirt or hat upon sign up, and every year after that. So plenty of reasons to become a diehard. Over at gophnx.com/diehard, also get access to our diehard only Discord, where a lot of the questions that people had today about the auction, Craig has been answering all throughout the week. You can talk to me, Petey, and Craig directly in our Discord and, just chat about things that you love to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The playoffs, we've been talking. So it's a lot of fun over in our Discord. One of the many great reasons to become a diehard over at gophnx.com. But I think it's time. We've made him sit there long enough, and he's in Edmonton, so let's give him something to do. It's Petey.
Petey points.
Live
Let's bring him
from
in.
Edmonton. Look at that background, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the lighting, so if it gets really annoying, let me know, because it just got dark in the arena. I thought it was a good shot in the bowl, and then they turned the lights out, so I apologize for the bad shot.
Well,
It's all good, Petey.
is that an omen, Petey?
Petey, how happy are you to be back in Edmonton right now? Let's start there.
Okay, no, like a hard no. I will say this, though, and all kidding. After game 3 and we thought, hey, we're going to go home. I'm going to go where it's lighter. I really apologize for this. I thought they would turn these back on. In all seriousness, after 3, I said, let's sweep and let's go home. We're past that now. We're to the point that I think it would be better if let's do 7. Like, I'm to the point where I think this would be historic if we could get it to 7 games right now, and I think that's where we're headed. It's amazing what a different series this has become now from what we had earlier in games 1 through 3.
Petey, you're walking around. Eric just said you're walking and talking.
Yeah, I technically am. I was trying to find some light, and I apologize. So I hope this is a little bit better. I hope. Sorry,
Petey, I want to talk to you about a narrative that I think is a pretty strong one now. I honestly, even at 6 games, I think it's okay to think this. Given what Edmonton has been able to do against Sergei Bobrovsky, and given what Connor McDavid has been able to do against Sasha Barkov, is Connor McDavid the MVP? Is he the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, regardless of what happens the rest of this series?
Honestly, Craig, it's over. And it's not even close. Connor McDavid's the Conn Smythe winner by a landslide. And I tell you what, after game 4, when Bobrovsky was less than Bobrovsky, I think that's where it started to shift. And I said that after game 4, where David was outstanding and he got 4 points and he led the team through to get them onto game 5. If this series goes 6 or 7, McDavid wins the Conn Smythe hands down. It's his. Like Bobrovsky could throw a shutout tonight and he's still not the Conn Smythe winner. I think his performance in game 4 and 5 really brought him back down to earth. If he is good in those games, especially in game 5 at home, if he's good in that game, then we're done. Like, they celebrated, they raised the cup. He is below average right now. His numbers are poor over the last 2 games. If you look at what he has done, has not been, not even just good. They have not been elite. They're nowhere near Conn Smythe numbers. McDavid has done this all on his own. I know that you can look at other players jumping in, but this is McDavid pulling this team through to game 6.
Yeah, and a couple points on that. Connor McDavid now has 42 points. Am I remember that right? 42 points in the postseason. 5 points shy of Wayne Gretzky's single postseason record. And people have pointed out, well, Wayne Gretzky played less games to do it. And I get that, but there's also the truth that goaltending's better than it was when Wayne Gretzky was doing it. Coaching's better, defense is better, players are better. So I don't like comparing eras. I have to look at the number, and he needs 5 points to tie Wayne Gretzky's record for points in a postseason. That is a meaningful stat, and it tells you what sort of performance Connor McDavid has had in this postseason, particularly in the later rounds when they've needed him even more. I have never seen a team, and I said this on Twitter, been carried by special teams and just the otherworldly talents of one player. That is what we're seeing right now. Edmonton is break even at 5-on-5 in the postseason. It would be, again, we talked about this, it would be the worst goal differential at 5-on-5 for any cup winner since the NHL started tracking this stat. And if you watch that last game, and I know you had talked about Edmonton adjusting and, chipping pucks up the boards, and that was a problem. That wasn't the issue in this last game. It was special teams. They scored 4 of their goals on special teams. Connor McDavid was unstoppable, and they forced a game 6. It's unbelievable to see this script playing out. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before.
Well, that's the fear, Craig, is Edmonton's winning in different ways now. And I think if you're the Florida Panthers, you have to show a level of concern because you go back to game 4, they won it on team speed, getting through the neutral zone and creating odd man rush chances against the Florida Panthers. That's not what happened in game 5. Actually, if you look at what Florida did through the neutral zone in game 5, they were really, really good. Edmonton had no room to move in the neutral zone. So like you said, they adjusted their game and they found a different way to win. If you're Florida, that's a concern because now what? Now what do you need to do? I firmly believe the only way this game ends tonight and this series ends tonight and Florida wins the cup if Bobrovsky is the best player on the Florida Panthers. We saw Tkachuk lead this team in game 5, wasn't enough to get over. We've seen Barkov and Gus Forling play great. They haven't in the last 2. If this team is going to win the Stanley Cup here on foreign soil, they have to have outstanding goaltending because that top end talent for this team is so good. And Connor McDavid, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, 4-on-5, it doesn't matter. And when he's on the ice, Florida has to do a better job of defending Connor McDavid. Craig, we've talked about this for years. From the Coyotes' perspective, defend Connor McDavid. Even when you have the puck, defend him. He is better than he's ever been in his career. I think this is the best hockey he's ever played, and they have to find a way to stop him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fascinating game tonight. Couple of numbers from our friends at BetMGM. Connor McDavid, first of all, now minus 250 to win the Conn Smythe. So, I mean, a runaway favorite right now. I think the next best odds were Barkov at plus 300. So a huge disparity there. The Panthers are still favorites to win the cup at minus 300, which is really interesting. But they're plus 100 in tonight's game 6. The Oilers are minus 120. So just interesting tidbits from BetMGM. It's always, fascinating to see what the books put for odds, because they're usually pretty, on the nose. So we'll see what happens. Petey, I'm glad that you've kind of just accepted what a game 7 would mean, because it means approximately 5,000 more miles of travel for you. But at this point, I guess it is what it is. I feel for you. I'm personally happy because I wasn't fully dialed in while I was on my vacation, but now I'm home, so ready to sit down on the couch and watch tonight.
The good news for both of you is if Edmonton wins tonight, I will be flying Air Canada red eye. And you guys know how much we love Air Canada at PHNX and how the travel woes of Air Canada. So I will see. I've got a 1 a.m. flight taking me to Toronto, end up in Miami 12 hours later. So we'll see. We'll see. You know what, though? This travel is so tiring. And we've all traveled, and you've had long flights. Leah, you had a long flight from Hawaii. I've done that every other day for 3 weeks. I'm exhausted, and I don't play. These players have to be absolutely exhausted. And I know they're traveling on charter, and I know they're traveling first class, and everything is great. I don't give a shit. This is hard. This is hard. And those guys, you're seeing some players diminish. And I think you're seeing some guys that are injured that are trying to play through it. I think Leon Draisaitl's playing hurt, and I think it's noticeable. Kane was trying to play hurt earlier in the season, and you just can't do it. I think you're going to be surprised when this is over at how many guys are actually playing just physically beat down, because this is really hard. I have completely changed the Leah. I do want it to go 7 now. I think it's good for hockey. I think with basketball being done, I think all eyes will be on the Stanley Cup Final, Game 7, Monday night from Fort Lauderdale Sunrise. I do think that would be great for the game. It would be great for Connor McDavid to see this go 7.
I'm so on board with that now. I wasn't earlier, but now I do. I want to see, honestly, I think I want to see Edmonton complete it. It hasn't happened since World War II.
Wow.
When the Toronto Maple Leafs did it. Sorry, I think, is that the last time they won the cup? Oh, no, not quite.
Not quite.
But it's an incredible story. If he carries them on his back all the way back from 3-0 in the final, what a story, and what a capstone on. We already know he's the best player in the world, but this just cements it. But I'm glad you brought up the travel. There's been a lot of chatter on the site formerly known as Twitter. I don't want to give him any love, about how long this season is. And while I agree that maybe the season is going too late, I don't agree with the narrative that there's too much time off between games. I think this is one of the failings of the NHL in the past. It used to be that every other day we're going to play in the playoffs regardless. What that did is it ensured that you weren't going to get the best hockey because guys were banged up, guys were exhausted. I like the idea of giving them rest to recuperate as best they can. You mentioned there are injuries that some guys simply can't play through, or they're not going to heal up till the offseason. But I think the rest gives them a better chance at providing a quality product on the ice. Curious for your thoughts on all that.
You know, I agree 100%. And here's the deal. Earlier in the playoffs, when you're talking about divisional battles, you are usually geographically closer than where you are in the Cup Finals. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it early in the playoffs. I think you do need to get those games done and get played, and teams are fresher then. But when you're looking at what's happening right now, if these guys were playing every other day, 2 things are going to happen. One, guys are going to get hurt. No question in my mind, guys are going to be hurt because not just are they more physically tired, they're going to make mistakes on the ice. And when you make mistakes, you put yourself up to be more likely to get injured because you're not doing the right things on the ice. So I think that would happen because you're not reacting as quickly. And number 2, you want to see everybody at their best. Like, you want to see Connor McDavid playing his best hockey. If this game would have been held yesterday, I just don't think you're seeing that. I don't think you're seeing the teams, the best, playing their best hockey. So give them that extra day, only in the finals. I'm totally fine with doing this for just the finals because of the geographical differences. And it's going to happen like that all the time. You're traveling 2, maybe 3 time zones, which is another part of this too, that your sleeping schedule changes every single day. And it is hard. And if it's hard for us to sleep in the hotel after changing time zones, can you imagine for these players? So Craig, I'm on board 100% just for the finals. They need to have that extra day in between traveling. And if it goes a couple, 2-3 days later, so be it.
Unless it's like a Chicago-Detroit Stanley Cup Final, then you don't need to do
Oh,
that.
no, give it to me. Give me an extra day in Chicago. Yeah, hell yes. Let's go. Like, that's a full day off. We travel like 2 hours and then have the whole day. Like, that's the other problem. You cannot get there. If you go on all your apps right now and try to get a flight from Edmonton to Miami or Fort Lauderdale tomorrow, try it. You cannot get there. Everybody is flying from Edmonton. And guess what? There's not that many flights from here. It's really, really, really hard. I'm going to say this is really hard to get from here. This might be one of the worst places to fly out of, because even Winnipeg, they go all these flights to Minneapolis. This is hard. There's a lot of people on our crew that are driving to Calgary 3 hours away to catch flights from Calgary because you cannot get out of Edmonton. So yeah, without the extra day, I don't think media would be able to cover games quicker. I really don't. Like, they need that extra day off.
There's quite a few Air Canada flights tomorrow. One way, $854.
No big deal.
And all of them have layovers in Toronto, which is like
that's me.
Boop. That's a horrific.
That's me tomorrow.
I don't even mind time off in the conference finals because I want to see the best hockey.
Sure,
but I get your point.
I don't mind the time off. Here's the thing that I don't like, and I understand the reasons behind it, and like the people who are whatever. The fact that the NHL draft is 1 week from today, and there is a Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. The fact that Game 7 is on June 24th. The NHL awards are on June 27th. The draft is June 28th and 29th. And then free agency is July 1st. I think that's ridiculous.
Yep.
And I also want to give a shout out to the team staffs, the NHL staffs, the media, and the media staffs who are not like, for a lot of people, Petey luckily gets to come home when this is all done. But there's people who are working for ESPN, for Sportsnet, for the NHL, for teams that, that if this goes 7 on Monday, then they're right to Vegas for the awards, the draft, and then it's free agency. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like that we're playing hockey this late into June.
Right.
I do like that all eyes are on the NHL with the NBA Finals over and all that, but I just think there needs to be some adjustments because I don't like how late it is and we're playing hockey this late into June.
Just start the season 2 weeks earlier.
I agree. But I get
go.
there's
I'm
reasons
in.
for doing it, but whatever. It's frustrating.
I'm in.
But Petey, any other notes on things to look for in tonight's game before we let you go?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I think this is all about, this city is absolutely on fire, and the energy you feel here on the streets of Edmonton, it is amazing what's going on in this city, and you do not see that in Florida. You don't see that vibe. I think this game is going to boil down to the first period for me. The Florida Panthers have not been able to come out in games 4 or 5 with a good start. They've really struggled off the start. So for me, on the Florida Panthers side, Bobrovsky has to be their best player. If he is good, average, or above average, Florida wins. He has been below average, and that's not good enough. I also think the key for the Florida Panthers is they need to get through the first period. If it's 0-0 after 1, I like the Florida Panthers. If they're ahead, I think it's over. That's how good I think the Florida Panthers are at locking it down. They just haven't done that the last 2 games. So look for there to survive the push of the crowd, the push of McDavid. They need to get clean through the first period. Edmonton, it's almost the opposite. You need that crowd to push you through and get a goal in the first 10, and everything is on number 97. It is all on number 97 because when he's got the puck, something's going to happen. And Bobrovsky seems to be intimidated. That goal that went off the inside of his leg, he's got a problem right now with McDavid. And you cannot have a problem with Connor McDavid if you're a goaltender playing against him. So I look for Connor McDavid and Bobrovsky to be the 2 keys. Kachuk was outstanding in Game 5. He needs to do that again in Game 6. Ekman Larsson's going to get one tonight on the power play. They moved him to the number 1 power play. And Nick Cousins, former Coyote, slides in tonight for his first taste of Stanley Cup Final action. And I look for him to be a little bit of a disturber out there because he does skate so well. I think Nick Cousins could be a factor. Now, do I think he's going to get on the scoreboard? No, I do not. But I do think he skates well enough that he's going to frustrate those Edmonton Oilers. And keep your eye on Nick Cousins tonight.
All right. Well, Petey, best of luck. Best of luck with your travels as well. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys when I see you guys. Is it Friday today? And I wasn't joking. I had to think it was Thursday because we're doing a show. It is Friday. Yep. So I will maybe see you Monday from the beach. We'll see.
All right. Well, if so, we'll check in then. Petey, best of luck, and we'll all be
Thanks,
watching
guys.
ESPN tonight for Game 6. Bye, Petey.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man. Going to be a really interesting one.
I wanted to go 7 now. I do.
Yeah.
I did,
I'm glad that Petey's on board.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling very bad. Like, I was feeling very, very bad. And now that he's on board, I'm on board. So let's go.
I remember covering postseasons like this where you you knew you weren't going to sleep because it was flying back and forth, and you had to be there. Like, I remember covering NBA series between the Spurs and the Suns, and granted, that's nowhere near the length of the flight, but you're riding till late. You know, you got to get on an early morning flight the next day and be at availability. So you just accept it, and it sucks early. But once you get to this point, like Game 6, you're like, yeah, let's go 7. Let's have the best story possible, because you know the end is in sight at least.
That's a good point. And JJ said Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup on June 24th in 2013. Yeah. That was the half-year lockout year, so it did get
special
pushed.
Circumstances.
But interesting. Thanks for pointing that out, JJ. Could happen again. We'll see, but should be interesting. Hopefully everybody is going to tune in tonight. I know we will. And again, get in our Discord, because there's been a lot of good conversations throughout the games of the Stanley Cup Final. And we'll talk about it early next week. Whatever happens, we'll know by the time we do our audio podcast early in the week. We'll know what happens in the Stanley Cup Final. So make sure you subscribe, but wherever you get your podcast, so you don't miss our weekly audio only shows. Petey's done a couple from the road, which have been really great, giving his opinions on things, and also with some tidbits from things on the ground there in Florida and in Edmonton as well. So subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel so you don't miss when we go live. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be live next Thursday after the auction. So stick around on our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at PHNX_hockey so you can get all of our updates as well. Craig, any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
No, just looking forward to a wild week next week.
It's going to be wild. And that is a good use of the word wild, yes, unlike for the Minnesota hockey team. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Be sure to hit the thumbs up on this video before you leave. Leave us a like. And if you're listening on audio, be sure to leave us a 5-star review as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.